Hello and welcome to the Related to Geeks podcast, the podcast about a geeky family. This is episode 11, original air date January 7, 2016. My name's Megan, I am your host and the youngest of the siblings, and tonight with us is my brother Kier.
Hello.
My sister Sarah.
Hi.
And our dad, the hairiest of Larrys.
Yoha!
Yoha! So we're going to get into this podcast. We're going to start off with what's caused us to geek out lately. Then we'll go into our topic of the week and wrap things up with our picks of the week. So, starting off, Sarah, since you're a little weak in the voice tonight, got a little bit of a sore throat, we're going to start you off and let you get your what's caused you to geek out out first, so you can rest your voice a little bit.
Well, since we have been, I guess it's been about a month and a half since we've done a regular episode because we had the Microscope and then a break for Christmas, I'm going to talk about our geeking out in this family was Christmas gifts and making homemade Christmas gifts, which is something that we do a lot, not just in my immediate family, but the Related to Geeks family as a whole tends to make Christmas gifts for people, and I was really proud of some of the stuff that we came up with as a family, and especially my daughter and the gifts that she gave out. She puts a lot of thought into her gifts, and she basically makes homemade gifts for just about every adult. For the kids, she'll buy gifts sometimes. She did make a gift for the youngest nephew, and then she also made gifts for her girl cousins. So it was fun. It was a hectic, crazy December, but it was fun.
Well, I have to say that the gift she made for me was the standout gift of Christmas. And that portrait is amazing. And I took a picture of it and put it on Facebook and got over 200 likes. Everybody liked it.
We'll need to go ahead and post that picture in the show links so
Yeah,
people can
absolutely.
see the picture that we're talking about.
Yeah, I showed her all of the comments on where you posted it, plus the comments from where I posted it. So she got lots of good praise for that. It was pretty
Well
incredible.
deserved.
And for people that are listening and maybe not, going to have the ability to go see a picture, even if it's linked right away, she did a latch hook as a portrait of our dad, of her grandfather. For his Christmas present. It was a good size. I think it was like 17 by 22 or something like that. It was a really good size. She probably put 90 plus hours into it, but I think it was worth it. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'll say. Growing up, I predominantly made gifts, and it's something that I've gotten out of the habit as I've gotten older and tend to have less free time, but it's something that I've always wanted to get back into. So I might try to make 2016 the year of the homemade gift again.
Well, I've mentioned this.
Start early.
Yeah, I've mentioned to several people that I want to make homemade gifts for next year, Christmas, but I'd have to start in February, so.
There is a lot of us.
We're all inspired by Elizabeth.
I did make homemade nativities for everybody, and by homemade I mean I
They were
used my
beautiful, too.
I used my silhouette and some cut files and made everybody kind of a unique gift. No two were the same. I think yours, Kier, and Gretchen's were probably the most similar, but they were still pretty different.
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty happy with that. I didn't get to do everything. I ran out of time to do everything I wanted to do. That's what happened. I'm still working on Devin's that I was not a nativity, but his gift that I was making him. I can't mention what it is because I don't know that it will be done by the time this goes up.
Yeah, well, tell Liz I'm still waiting on my Christmas gift.
Yeah, she ran into some problems this year and wasn't able to get Megan or her grandmother's gift done. We had some technical difficulties, but she did get you a candy bar. She was pretty proud of that.
She did, and I ate it almost instantly.
And I'm still working on my homemade gifts. Haven't mailed my Christmas cards yet, but as usual, some CDs and some photos,
Yeah.
I personally like to receive my Christmas cards in February. I feel like that's the appropriate time.
I sat down with Wendy, and we made ornaments this year for the grandparents, or for my parents and my parents-in-laws, and that's something that she's been doing for a while now, and that's something that I think we'll continue to do for a long time now.
We've got him hanging
Yeah.
on the tree.
All right, Kier, what's caused you to geek out lately in this past month and a half?
Well, for me, the big thing is that a new gaming store has opened up, and I have been there pretty close to every day that it's been open, at least to just pop in and say hi. And I've already run 1 or 2 events there, and already planning 2 or 3 more events there. People go on and on about the best way to support your local gaming store is to, buy all of your gaming stuff from there, and I'm sure that's definitely helpful. But another thing that you can do to help, if you do not have the spare cash on hand, is just volunteer to run events there. They're always looking for people to do cool things, and that's what I've been doing, as well as spending my money there.
Well, and running events brings people into their store, who buy sodas and snacks and possibly gaming stuff. So that's pretty helpful. I've been there a few times. We've mentioned this before. I don't live quite as close as everybody else does. So I've been in there probably 3 or 4 times though, and in the really half a month that it's been open, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've been in there 0 times, so that's very good.
That's not good.
No, but it's good. It's good how many times you've been in there, considering you don't live
Oh,
close.
okay. I get you now.
I'm saying I live a lot closer to this place, and I still haven't made it there. So.
Yeah, and the best part about it to me is that, I mean, one of the things that I went for was the week of Christmas. Somebody's like, I'm off for 2 weeks. Who wants to get together and play board games? And just kind of a spur of the moment with a day or two's notice, there were about 6 or 7 of us that just dropped in and played board games. And it was nice to have that space available for that to happen, which is something that has been lacking in the area for a while, just a drop-in place to play games.
Yeah. Beforehand, we would always do it at, some local restaurants and coffee shops, and that's always tricky. Because there's a difference between dropping $1 on a soda and dropping $10-15 on a meal, Well,
and spur of the moment too. You can't necessarily go into a restaurant with a day or 2 notice. You have to.
That's absolutely true.
The
I haven't
bonus
been
is
yet, but I intend to go once I get back to school and I'm in town.
The owner's really nice. I've had a couple of Facebook conversations with him just even before he opened, saying, letting him know that the group that Kier and I have started will do whatever we can to support him, and Kier obviously is able to do more in the support area because he's there and can run events. But yeah, I'm excited. It's nice to have that, know that there's a place that's open every day of the week until at least 10 o'clock at night. It makes it a lot easier to plan things out. And he's got lots of space. Lots of space for games, which is nice. It's definitely a bonus.
Yeah, and I feel like I should drop the name of the place. It's Cullison's Cards and Games. And it just opened up in Jonesboro about December 18th. And I feel a little weird mentioning it just because I feel like anyone who's listening to this who's far away, it's not necessarily that important to them, and anyone who's listening to this that's close probably already knows about it.
Dad, what have you been geeking out about?
Well, I've been doing video editing in Blender. I started video editing with Adobe Premiere, and then when I moved to Linux and my Premiere version got old, I tried a variety of different Linux programs and stuck with OpenShot for a while, but it has some stability issues, and it's on its way to a version 2, but it's not there yet. There is no version 2 yet. So my research said Blender, and I found these YouTube videos done by Mikey Cal. So if you type in Blender tutorials, look for the Mikey Cal ones, and they're recommended. And Blender is a learning curve, and I think that's because 3D rendering is a learning curve. But video editing is just video editing, and it has a timeline, and everything's pretty straightforward if you've done video editing before. I don't think Blender's any harder to learn than any other video editing suite. So far, it's really stable and really does a good job.
Awesome. I've not used Blender. I've used other video editing software. The one I've got the most experience with is Microsoft Movie Maker, and I've got enough experience with it to know that it doesn't do all of the things that I would like it to do. And I imagine Blender probably doesn't have that issue as much.
No, I think Blender does about anything. It's not to compare to the top line Pro stuff, but also a different world than Microsoft Movie Maker.
Yeah.
I just have a very small experience with Blender, but just from what I know about it is that even though there's an interface in there that is similar to a lot of other movie editing software, it's a very different beast in a lot of ways. Even though it can do a lot of video editing, it's a very different beast and has its own set of learning curves.
Yeah, but if you use the Mikey Kelvis tutorials, they'll show you how to set up to make it open up like it's a video editor, and you just use it as a video editor, and you don't have to do any of that hard 3D rendering stuff at all.
So as far as video editing goes, does it have anything to do with the hard 3D rendering stuff at all, or is that just a completely separate
because
package?
when you do the 3D rendering, you render the clip, and then you have to edit those clips and put on credits and all that. So, yeah, it's like an all-in-one suite for 3D rendering and video editing. Yeah. Anyway, I used it for the Microscope video. So I've got all of the videos edited, and I'm rendering them out. There's going to be maybe four, at least three different parts. The first part's rendered, it's like 35 minutes long, and then the next part is a little shorter. It goes through the first role-playing session, and then the last part has the rest. And it's not going to be quite as long as the audio because I'm wrapping it early with the video.
Yeah. So
okay,
Megan,
what have you been doing?
There's an echo in here.
Stereo.
I was waiting for someone to ask. I went to Lexington, Kentucky with a couple of friends. We have a couple of friends up in that area, and a group of about 5 of us got together over New Year's, and I feel like the theme of the trip was board games and beers, which is a fantastic theme for any New Year's celebration.
I love that combo.
Yeah, and that's what we did for most of our free time when we were just hanging out. We played board games, and then we visited several breweries in the area. I have a little cheat sheet here. I know we visited West 6 Brewery, Blue Stallion, and Ethereal. So those were the 3 that I remember visiting, and then several local bars and such. And at West 6 is where they actually had a stack of board games, so that was my favorite. So we sat around and played like Quirkle and a couple other board games and drank beer. So it was fantastic.
I've had a few local events at some restaurant/bars where I encourage people to bring board games, and we'll order a pitcher of beer or 2 and sit down and play board games and drink beer, and that is an excellent combo. I highly recommend it. Just make sure that you either drink lightly or play light games.
Well, I remember we got into playing Sequence at West 6, and it was one of those situations where we kind of had to, there's a big no talking rule or no communicating in between the teams, and so we kind of had to check ourselves a couple of times because we were getting to that point where we were a little more loose with the words than we should have been, and so we had to catch ourselves a couple of times. So definitely no games where you have to like keep a secret or check yourself, because that becomes difficult as the alcohol content in your blood rises.
The last time I did beer and board games, we were playing Splendor, and actually Sarah, you were there, and that was the time that I actually won like 3 rounds before I announced that I had won, and I just didn't realize. Oh yeah, hey, this guy should come and visit me. Oh, well, I guess that's the end. I won with like 20 points.
However, the best part about beers and board games is really everybody wins. So
Yeah,
that's the best part of it.
I would say with beer or board games.
But when you combine the two, it's like super true.
win.
Super win.
I don't combine the two very often. You would think that I would, but I don't very often.
I got beer for my birthday. Wingnut. Sarah will have to. Sarah gave it to me, so she'll have to fill me in on the.
She's mentioned it on a previous podcast, I believe.
Yeah, and yeah, Urban Chestnut, and that was the way that we even found out about that brewery is because we went to a board game event there that the local meetup group in St. Louis was doing.
Wingnut, quite good.
I really like it, and I'm glad that we can buy it locally.
It's my current favorite beer, and I'll tell you what, I want to amend our fancy cheese and beer party to be a fancy cheese, beer, and board game party now.
I feel like any time we have a party, board games are just
a given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do RPG as a family too. So RPG, I don't think that's really a verb, but
it is now.
We do RPG as a family.
A lot.
We RPG all the time. All right, that's everybody, right? We've gone around the room, the table, the Skype call. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with our topic of the week.
You're listening to the Related to Geeks podcast, the podcast about a geeky family. For more episodes, visit our website at relatedtogeeks.com and watch us playing Microscope on our YouTube channel.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Our topic of the week is 2015 in review, because if you hadn't noticed, it's actually 2016 now, which baffles me. But anyway, we're just going to talk a little bit about the things that we either really enjoyed in 2015, or the things that we were excited about in 2015, or just things that we thought were cool that came out in 2015 that we maybe haven't gotten to yet but are still excited about. So we're just going to open it up to conversation, and anybody jump in.
My kickoff, my top pick for 2015, as far as things that I have really enjoyed this year, is probably going to be not one but 2 different board games. One is Mysterium, and the other is Codenames. And Sarah introduced both of these to me, and they have since become my top 2 favorite board games. And I believe both have been mentioned on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Codenames.
Probably more than once.
Codenames was on my list. I wasn't really thinking of Mysterium when I was looking at board games that were released in 2015. Codenames jumped out at me, but that one didn't for some reason. I have played it, but it was only once, so maybe I need to revisit it and play it a couple more times. I did enjoy what I played of it, but Codenames was also on my list for sure.
Yeah. And my third one that I'm really excited about, that I have not had a chance to play, but will be playing this Friday for the first time, is Pandemic Legacy.
Did you see that that's number 1 on Board Game Geek now?
I have heard that it was number 1 for 2015.
No, it is number 1.
Period.
It was number 2 last week, and it just overtook Twilight Struggle. So
wow.
Take that, Twilight Struggle.
No, I don't.
I'm even more excited now.
So yeah, I mean, it may not last, but it may. But yeah, it was kind of the big news of this past couple of days is that it overtook Twilight Struggle. It climbed fast because it's only been out since Essen, which was October. So it's brand new.
Well, my favorite new game in 2015, and I don't know whether it came out in 2015, but I learned to play it in 2015, is Microscope. I thought that was really great.
Yeah, it did not
I had
come
a
out in
blast
2015,
playing
I don't
Microscope.
believe. But it is.
I
I learned
never
about
heard
it in
until
2015.
2015.
Came out 2015 as far as you're concerned.
That's right. But I never heard about it before it didn't exist.
So, steering away from board games and going into the video game realm, there's two games that I want to mention. Neither one I've played because they're on formats that I don't have access to, but I've either watched enough of them through Let's Players or gotten enough recommendations from people I really trust to feel comfortable recommending both of them. But that is Until Dawn for PS4 and Undertale for Windows, and it's also on Mac. But unfortunately, I just run Linux, which in most cases is fantastic, but occasionally when you're a gamer, it's kind of sad. But Until Dawn is a kind of a B horror movie cliche love letter where you have different choices throughout the game, and they're supposed to make drastic differences about who lives and dies throughout the game. But mostly it's just a beautifully executed love letter to, like I said, those B horror movies, which I grew up on and I really, really enjoyed. But Undertale is another game that's just, from what I understand, and I've tried to avoid too many spoilers on it, it's just a really fantastically crafted RPG in a retro style, but it's got a lot of quirks to it. I bet it's something that Liz would adore. If you can get it for Liz, Sarah, I bet it's one that she would absolutely adore. She might just want to watch a little bit of video on it and see what she thinks, but if she can get that on Windows, she would love it.
Is it on Steam, do you know?
I think so. It should be.
Okay. We'll have to
What was
look.
the first one called again?
Until Dawn. I talked to you about it before, Kier.
Until Dawn. Okay.
It was the one
Well,
that I recommended you do. You can pretty much get the experience just watching Let's Plays, which is what I kind of did because I have no intentions of buying a PS4. But the Scary Game Squad, which I think I've brought up before
Yep.
in a podcast, played through it, and it's a fantastic playthrough, so I recommend that one.
Well, your description threw me off because you mentioned it was a love letter, and my head immediately went to like a micro bluffing and deduction game. And I was like, I thought you was talking about a video game. I'm confused.
It's also an expression, Kier.
I know.
Turns out. So, I don't know if it's going to come up in your best of or worst of or even anywhere on your radar here, but how was the new Star Wars? Because I think you went and saw that, didn't you?
I did.
Huh?
I did. And I am actually trying to still avoid giving out any spoilers to the best of my ability. So I'm not even going to say what I thought of it. I think that you should go and just experience it.
You're not even going to give us a yay or an A?
I think you should just go and experience it and decide for yourself. That is what I will tell you and anyone who asks me.
That was the way they did it at Huckleberry Finn.
I think it's a trap.
The audience the first night refused to tell everybody how terrible the show was, so they all went the second night. And, the audience the second night, then everybody in town had seen it, and they all hated it, so they all went the third night, and all the actors absconded before the curtain opened. That's a story from Huckleberry Finn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right. Now, a movie that I will bring up that came out in 2015, which I absolutely adore and would highly recommend anyone go see, is Mad Max Fury Road.
Really?
Yes,
I will. And I will say, I will give this much away. I have seen Ant-Man, Age of Ultron, the new Star Wars movie. Mad Max Fury Road was easily my favorite of all that I've seen this year.
Here's the problem with me doing a year in review type episode is that I tend to be about 5 years behind. So,
All right.
So the only one that I watched this year was Age of Ultron, which I was not a huge fan of. But I will say on my list of to watch is definitely Ant-Man, The Martian I really want to watch, Jurassic World, and Inside Out.
I want to read the book, The Martian.
Yeah, I want to read the book and then I want to watch the movie. But I've heard that the movie's really a good adaptation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always 10 or 20 years behind, but this year I'm up to date on one TV show, which I enjoyed, called Dark Matter. And I recommend watching it. It's only got one season, 13, and I'll give a spoiler to this much. It ends on a cliffhanger, so you're waiting for the next season. So I'm not a big fan of season-ending cliffhangers. I'd rather have season-ending tie-me-ups, But this one is a season-ending cliffhanger, so after you watch the first season, you'll be waiting on the next season. But it's a really good premise where a bunch of people wake up out of stasis, kind of frozen, cryogenic kind of thing, and have no memories other than their skill sets. They have no personal memories, and they're badasses.
And it's called Dark Matter.
Yeah.
Dark Matter, yeah.
It's on.
Yeah, I've not even heard of it.
It's on Netflix.
It's a spaceship.
I've watched just the first 2 episodes still. Which it's funny because I came and visited Mom and Dad as they were finishing up the 3rd episode, and I was just like, nope, I gotta not watch this. So I went into the other room and did other stuff. But I enjoyed the premiere of it for sure. So I would like to watch more of it, and based on Dad's recommendation, it's definitely worth it.
It pulls no punches, It's definitely, carries you to the extremes.
My favorite TV show that was introduced in 2015 was actually one that Kier recommended to me, and they've just started up again, so I'm excitedly watching the new episodes, and that is Galavant. It is so much fun.
Yep. Rosemary and I just finished watching the first couple of episodes right before the podcast, and
That's what we were doing too.
laughed nonstop. It's on Hulu right now, and everyone should watch it. And spoiler alert, it's my pick of the week. So,
well, we will hold off talking about that then too much more. But I did want to mention it because we have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, probably my favorite TV show that I have seen 2015, because I think Galavant's technically 2016. So I suppose maybe it was 2015 as well. But my favorite TV show that I've watched has been another Netflix original series, Jessica Jones. And all I can say about that one is that you will want to binge watch it, but you will be unable to do so.
Yeah. We had talked about the idea of palate cleansers after certain shows. You need a major one after that one. I mean, you need a major one after like every episode.
That's the ideal way to do it.
Watch an episode of that, and then watch some YouTube cat videos, and then watch another episode a little while later, and you'll be good. That's the recommended way of watching that show.
I want to take a little turn here, because everybody's best of stuff and favorite stuff and all that from the year is always consumption, and I don't spend nearly as much time consuming as I do producing. So I want to throw out a few personal best ofs here. My best new project for 2015 has been the Related to Geeks podcast. I think it's just been a dynamite thing to be doing. And my best overall experience for 2015 has been the Wednesday night Ignite services, where we have music and prayer and joy and tears and all that makes religion great. And then, since I'm a music geek, I have 3 favorite music projects I've worked on this year. One is the Bebop Beatniks, which is a jazz piano, and Paul Nunes has been playing bass with me, and I've really been enjoying that. And then I finished NJHB CD that we first recorded the live parts of 2.5 years ago. And I finally got the musicians willing to come in and overdub the bass and horn. And so my Stinger CD is part of my Christmas card. NJHB New Jazz House Band. A 2.5 year project in the making completed. And then I also want to mention how proud I was of my Even Dozen composition. It got read at the composition seminar at ASU, and taking me in a new direction with my jazz. So that's my real favorites, 2015. The production projects I've been involved in, and it's just been a great year for me because of that, more than because of any book I've read or any TV show I've seen.
Yeah, and like I said, being several years behind, I found like it's more important to live in the moment than it is to consume whatever's hot at that moment. But also, and I was thinking about this earlier as I was trying to figure out what in 2015 stood out to me as being quality stuff or being stuff that I enjoyed. I also realized that more and more we have such an oversaturation that it almost seems not necessarily harder to keep up with what's coming out today, but it's that there's so much that you missed from the previous years that you're still trying to catch up with, that I personally am always looking at decades upon decades of content, and some days I'll be like, I just want to listen to 80s music all day, and other days I'll be like, I want to go and, watch these old sci-fi shows that came out in the late 90s, and it's all at your fingertips now, so it's not as important to me to keep up with the current stuff because there's just such a fabulous library that I have access to of all of the best over the years. And so the idea of the best of 2015 doesn't really apply to me the same way that I felt like it would have in the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we've got the whole long tail to pick from. It used to be you had to go to the theater to see a movie, and you got to see the ones that they had at the theater, which was this year's stuff. But now you got the whole long tail, everything that's ever been done. You can pick and choose whatever you want.
I was thinking that was especially true for radio, because radio played, the hits of today.
Top 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now we have iTunes and all of these fabulous indie performers releasing their stuff on the internet, and it's just so hard to narrow it down to a 40 anymore,
Yeah. Wasn't the best-selling artist on iTunes this year the Beatles?
I don't know. I would have figured it would have been Adele, but I may be wrong. This was kind of Adele's year in a lot of ways.
Well, the big Beatles news is they're now streaming.
Yeah, that's why.
If
Wow.
that's true, it would totally make sense.
Yeah.
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 I think it was a Christmas present. I think they started streaming on December 24th or something like that.
Yeah, and they're. I actually just checked. I don't think they're anywhere near number one for 2015. I think Adele is, but but yeah, that was to kind of illustrate my point. They were in the top 100, if not higher than that, best-selling albums for 2015. So that's Abbey Road, and that's nowhere near 2015.
Yeah.
The Van Morrison Astra Weeks wasn't a big seller the year it came out, and it was a cult thing, and then it started selling more and more every year. And every year it sells more than it did the year before. So, I mean, overall, it's a pretty big seller, and it's always in everybody's top 10 rock album list, Astra Weeks. But it just never stopped selling. And, of course, same thing's true with Miles Davis albums. Miles Davis is probably still the top-selling jazz artist.
Well, I'll say two artists that I have discovered in the year 2015 that have actually been in that kind of top 40 mindset, but also just have a fabulous library of music beyond that. And I'm kind of one of those people that will listen to a song on the radio that I, kind of like, and then I'll go and listen to the artist's entire library and decide after that what I think of them. But the two that stood out to me this year is Elle King and The Weeknd. I've really enjoyed going back and listening to a lot of their works outside of just the ones that made it onto the radio. I think they're both fantastic artists.
I think I may have heard. I may have heard of The Weeknd. That sounds vaguely familiar. The other Elle King, I don't have a clue.
Elle King's most famous song is the X's and O's song, or at least the one that gets the most airtime. And then The Weeknd is that I can't feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it. But I love it is probably one of his most famous, which people still don't understand that's a song about cocaine. So people actually think that's a love song, which is fantastic. That's my favorite part about that song. Is people think it's a love song. It's a song about cocaine.
Well,
interesting bit of trivia about Elle King. She is Rob Schneider's daughter.
Huh. Oh, well, there you go. I know who that is.
Yeah. But she's fantastic. She's got a nice style that's like country and rock and blues all at once, and she's got a lot of I don't give a damn kind of attitude, which I love, so I enjoy her.
I'll have to listen for something blue.
One of my favorite things for 2015, and it's definitely a 2015 thing, was starting NEA Gamers Guild with Kier. Had to throw that in because it's been. Is that where we're cutting each other off for the same thing?
Yep.
Awesome.
I just went to the Facebook page and I scrolled all the way down to the bottom. And I was going to say my favorite thing was February 1st, 2015. Sarah Heyl Brown created the group NEA Gamers Guild. And what's crazy about it was the group started literally with me and Sarah, and I'm looking at the bottom now, and it says Sarah Heyl Brown and 190 other people are in this group.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting really close to 200. I added 2 or 3 people today, so that's kind of crazy. And I think the game store opening has helped grow a little bit because there's definitely a whole nother group of gamers in town that we hadn't crossed paths with. So now that that's happening, we've had a little bit of an influx.
I know them because they're all in the music department.
But yeah, it's been a pretty amazing year, and we've had regular events throughout the year, and it's been really amazing just to watch it grow over the months.
Yeah, and really good events too. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, and a great big range, like everything from miniatures to card games to board games to RPGs, and I don't think that we try to prioritize any form of gaming over any other, and it's probably been one of the things that I am most proud of being a part of, and I hope it goes on for many, many years to come.
Yeah, I do too. It's been, I'm still a little bit in awe that people just latched on so quickly, and we're really happy to have this place to gather, and I mean, being the Facebook page really, to gather and just talk games. I mean, even when there's not really events going on, there's always, I would say, multiple posts a day about gaming in some form or another, which is pretty awesome.
I think it's just it's a neat exploration of geek culture and what surrounds that and how people love it so much and get excited when they find other people who are interested in the things they are. And obviously it extends beyond board games or anything like that, but I think that's just kind of the age we're living in, that over consumption and stuff like that, but it all trickles back to that idea of wanting to spend time with friends and sharing these cool things that you've found or discovered. Or I think it's really neat, the idea that you can bring these people together, and the board games act as a catalyst for just hanging out and spending time together in a social way that doesn't happen as much anymore, because even through online gaming and video games that way, I feel like you still don't get the same experience you get with board games. So I think that 2015 was a fantastic year for board games for me, because I felt like I played way more board games this year and had a lot more social experiences through that, and met a lot of new people because of the Gamers Guild and other circumstances. And I want to thank both of you for organizing that group, because it was definitely a good experience for me to have. I was getting in a little bit of a rut where I was just sitting around and not doing much. So,
well, the one of the reasons that we started it is because gaming, really truly over the past couple of years, has been my main form of social life.
Uh-huh.
And when our store closed down that we were used to going to, it was like, I have got to have some sort of outlet that I can regularly play games. And that was really, I mean, it's the social aspect that I think brought both Kier and myself into creating this. Because he did have regular people that he played games with and was able to do it.
Well, there's the stereotype that geeks and nerds get, that we're all just kind of isolated and don't want to interact with each other. But really, the opposite of that is true. We have huge conventions where thousands of people gather because we're so excited about this stuff, and we want to get together and have fun with it. So.
And another favorite of mine for 2015 was getting to go to Geekway again, speaking of conventions. Mm-hmm. And played, I think we played 36 games over the weekend, something like that. And met some really cool new people, and more so, I think, this year, because we were there for longer and when it wasn't quite as crowded than last year. Last year we only went for Saturday, Sunday. This year we went for all 4 days. Or by this year, I mean 2015. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's an experience that I'm looking forward to this year again. And yeah, I mean, just, there were 1,400 people there, all there because they enjoyed playing board games and wanted to be around other people who enjoy playing board games.
So if you didn't get to it in 2015, I think 2016 is your year to join a board game group. Go to your local game store, meet some other gamers. Just do all of that, because I think that's something we all support and really want you to do. All right.
Unless you hate board games.
Unless you hate board games. Then just play your video games or read your books, or I don't know. You have to do something nerdy to be listening to this podcast, so, produce your music. Go do something. Music production's social as well, so that's good. Go and start a band. And then break up, and then, reunite. And all that stuff.
I feel like this analogy is getting stretched pretty quick.
Anyway, so that was 2015, wasn't it?
Some of it.
I mean, none of the important stuff like, news or, the state of our world or anything like that. But
I don't want to talk about that.
Only the important stuff.
It's only the important stuff. All right. Well, it was a good year. It was a great year for Dad, according to him. And I think it was a great year for all of us. We started some fun new projects. We got to enjoy some awesome geek stuff that came out. And we're looking forward to an awesome 2016 as well. So we're going to take a quick break and come back with our picks of the week.
Thanks for enjoying the Related to Geeks podcast. Download the podcast MP3s at our website, relatedtogeeks.com. You can also listen on our YouTube channel and our Tumblr. We link to everything we talk about in our show notes.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's time for our picks of the week. And since Kier's has already been revealed, he's going to start us off with his pick of the week.
So my pick of the week is definitely Galavant. It is a musical comedy series on ABC, and they just started their second season. I don't know when it comes on because I watched it on Hulu. I love this show. It's hilarious. Everything about it is fantastic. It's well written, well acted. It's funny. The singers are excellent. And the thing that I think that I like the most about it, though, is that I've watched just tons and tons of comedies over the years, and this is one of those few where I genuinely have just multiple good hearty laughs every single episode. And I think that's really rare in comedies.
Yeah, well, the nature of comedy is it's the same jokes you've already heard 1,000 times, and it's hard to get a good laugh out of those, so I don't know if it's necessarily new jokes or just the same jokes told really well, because that's also a possibility. I haven't seen it yet, but it's definitely on my to-watch list.
I feel like a good portion of it is just the same jokes told really well.
Yeah, and that's also the key. Just timing more than anything.
I can tell the same joke over and over and get a good laugh every time.
From yourself.
Oh, that was awesome. And I think what's fun for me with Galavant, one of the things, we watched Psych when it was on.
Ooh, I love that
and
show.
Detective Lassiter plays Richard. And it is so fun to watch him in that role. It's just amazing.
I just now made that connection.
You were always watching that like, man, that guy kind of looks familiar.
I know. This show just got 10 times better.
Oh, it's pretty awesome.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I have to watch it. I have to watch it like yesterday. As soon as it started airing, I had to watch it, but I didn't get to it.
It's definitely worth watching. We enjoy it. All three of us sit down and watch it together and enjoy it immensely.
All right, Sarah, what is your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is the Pop Sugar 2016 Reading Challenge. And the reason that's my pick of the week is because I think I read 2 books last year. I used to be a huge reader, and I just haven't been reading as much, and I really want to try to make an effort to read more this year. And I really like this list because it's not a list of books, it's a list of types of books. So it's not like, read this book. It's all kinds of different things. Like some of the things that I'm seeing, I've got the list in front of me, is a book set in Europe, a book that's becoming a movie this year, a science fiction novel. So it's not even all genre because, one's a book recommended by a family member, which I'm going to take care of with Ready Player One.
Woohoo,
because
Ready Player
they
One.
recommended that to me and gave it to me for Christmas. So so that one I've already got picked out. One of them is I think one of them was a book by a celebrity. And right now I'm reading Amy Poehler's book, which I couldn't tell you the name of it right now, which is Yes, Please. That's the name of it. So I've started on it, and I think it's about 40 books. It's not like a book a week, but it's quite a few. And I don't know that I'll make it through the whole list, but I'm going to do my best. And I just like that it's different types of books and not all genre-based, not all title-based, but just a random assortment that I get to choose what book I want to read that fits that.
So, is there any type of history or reason behind the name of the list?
It's from a website called Pop Sugar. I know nothing about the website. It was recommended to me on a forum, and I went and checked it out. I don't think that, I don't even know that I looked to see what kind of website it was. So this is not a recommendation for the website. It might be awesome. I have no idea.
I know a little bit about the website. It's another website that's really focused on almost consumerism in that way. It's a big. They do things like subscription boxes and do a lot of stuff like that through the site. They do a lot of different things, as far as I know. But I think it's kind of all-in-one mass empire type of website that does just a ton of crap. But I know I've heard it in relation to like subscription boxes, where people are like, I got my Pop Sugar subscription box, but that's for like scarves and home goods type stuff.
And that's not anything I'm interested in. But if you're interested in it, check. It was a book written by a comedian, not a celebrity.
Oh.
So I had to change that because I just found it. But and there is a book written by a celebrity. I wonder if I could just count that one twice.
I mean, comedians are technically celebrities.
But one of the things that I like is one of them is a book you haven't read since high school. So I kind of like that, going back and rereading something that maybe I read a few years ago, and visiting that.
Well, in my efforts to read more in 2016, I've started a book club, but we're just sticking to one book a month because we know our limits. I do think like the idea of doing a book a week is a really interesting challenge, doing the 52 challenge. I have looked into that, but I don't think I could handle it.
Yeah, there was a time I would have been able to easily, but now is not that time.
What's going to be your first book for your book club?
The Book Thief. I was reading it right before the podcast.
So these still books?
No.
Still books?
It's a little girl. It's set in Nazi Germany, and it's a little girl that is fascinated by reading and steals books, and it's actually told from the perspective of the Grim Reaper. So that's an interesting thing about that book. Just FYI.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. It's on Lizzie's reading list for this year. She actually found it at a yard sale, and she's like, I've been wanting to read that book. And I was like, well, you should have told me. We could have got it from the library.
They have like 12 copies of it.
So, yeah, not at our library, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, they definitely have it at the library here.
Yeah, so yeah, Liz is going to be reading it probably sometime this semester. It's an interesting read. I read it a few years ago, which means I've forgotten everything about it.
Oh, yeah.
But
All right, Daddy. Mr. Harry Larry himself.
My picks of the week are both Japanese, and the first is a novel. Colorless, Tsukuru, Tazaki, and Its Years of Pilgrimage by Haruki Murakami, and I just finished it today. And it's not a fantasy, it's not a science fiction, it's just a novel. Contemporary fiction. And I found it really fascinating, really interestingly written, and really values and a nice long span, instead of it being 2 years out of someone's life, it's 20 years out of someone's life. And so that's Colorless, Tsukuru Tazaki.
Yeah,
Haruki Murakami. Japanese novel.
Yeah, you had a little bit of robot going on during that, but what I took from that is that it's a contemporary Japanese novel, and I think that's a brilliant way to explore other cultures, is to just read contemporary novels written by people from other parts of the world, because I think that's probably the most interesting way to explore other cultures.
And this guy's got to be a kind of a famous writer, and he's had his novels translated into 50 different languages. So very interesting. And I got it on Overdrive, so I didn't have to. I checked it out from the library as an ebook and read it on my Kindle. And then my other Japanese pick of the week is a Netflix anime series called Nana. And it's about two girls, and they're both 20 years old, and they're both named Nana, and they are both moving to Tokyo. So they're quite different. One of them is quite flighty, boy crazy girl, and the other is a punk rocker. But they complement each other well and get along, and it's a very interesting series. It's adolescent, kind of teeny, but not as adolescent as the last anime I watched, which was, Kier, help me out here, I'm forgetting it.
Seven Deadly Sins.
Seven Deadly Sins, yeah.
Well, that's about as adolescent as it gets.
Yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon for young teenagers or something. I don't know. It's weird. But Nana's good storytelling.
So I feel like the best way for that series to end would be for them to meet another girl named Nana, and then all three of them travel to Gotham, and so you'd have Nana, Batman.
Yes, that would be good. I don't think that's going to happen, but nonetheless.
I would be super excited though if that was the end of that series. I'd be like, yes, called it.
So, back to what Megan said about consuming other cultures. You have to be kind of careful when you do that, because you can. There was a video a while back that I watched that was a Japanese video, and the entire time I was just watching this thinking, man, this is the weirdest thing I have ever seen. And it comes to turn out it was a comedy group who was parodying Life in America. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, if you want to watch some really weird stuff, try some Japanese game shows.
Well, the best is when you watch.
Different take on it.
The best is when you watch like Japanese people's reactions to like American things, because they think we're way weird. So it's just different cultures. But I mean, they watch some of our stuff and they're like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
That's what's really great about Japanese and American culture is that the Japanese have wholesale absconded with American popular music. Mm-hmm. And there are Japanese country music singers that sound just like Hank Williams, and there are Japanese blues singers that sound like B.B. King. I mean, it's just this amazing thing that happens. But I have discovered that although, I'm a music major, I'm into jazz, and pop music doesn't have the appeal for me that it used to. But man, that Japanese pop music, it's great. It's just amazing. And it's stolen from American pop, but they just they put a little sheen on it, and they have a little more complexity to it or something. I don't know what it is. It's just great.
Have you experienced much K-pop, Dad?
I've seen some of that.
I think you need more K-pop in your life.
The K-pop it's a little bit too boy-bandish, I mean, it's not all boys, but it's just.
It's like it's so straight 90s pop for us, and it's so interesting because it's 90s pop, but with the budget and technology of today. It's like what they would have done back in the 90s had they had the resources we have today, and it's insane.
Yeah, the K-pop. I mean, those kids. You Disney kids got it bad. Those kids, they're like groomed for that from
oh
ages
yeah,
6.
yeah. It's bizarre. If you look into like basically the whole music empire over in Korea, it's crazy. And you have a short window of time that you can be a performer, and after that you're out, you're done. So.
Yeah, but some of those performers are going to prove wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them will take off and have their own voice when they grow up. Okay. What's your pick of the week?
I'm going to also do 2, and they have nothing to do with each other. The first is a gaming app called Threes, which I believe came out before 2048, but is actually what I consider a far superior version, or at least a more complex version. I feel like 2048, which is that one where you just slide the tiles and add up numbers to try to get to 2048, is a much easier game to master than Threes. I think Threes is really an intricate version of 2048, which still cracks me up that it, as far as I know, came out before it. But it's really good, and I recommend it if you like the much more popular 2048. And then my other pick of the week.
And it's a math puzzle game?
Yeah. It's just you have a set of tiles, and you slide them, and you have to add same numbers. And so in 2048, you would have 2s that would add up to 4s that would add up to 8s, and you just keep building and building until you got to 2048, and that's how you would win the game. Whereas 3s, you have 1s and 2s, which you have to add up to 3, and then you build up from there. So then you can add 3s, and then you can add 6s, and you keep building from that.
So is it like a phone app?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not familiar with either of them, so I wasn't sure.
I think 3s is the superior game. And I remember, like, when 2048 came out and started getting popular, people were like, well, it's 3s. Why aren't we just playing 3s? But I haven't tried it until very recently. I think I got it on a Humble Bundle a while back. It is a paid app, but I think it's only like 99 cents, and there might be ways to get it free now because a lot of times those games will start either having ad integration and releasing them for free, or just giving them out for free because they figure they've made all the money they're going to make out of it and just want to use it to promote newer games that they're making. But I got it through a Humble Bundle. But it is a good one. I recommend it. And then my other pick of the week, which is funny because I really don't care for the movie much, and I've mentioned this to Sarah for sure. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this to anybody else. But Legally Blonde, the musical.
Oh my goodness.
It's a Broadway musical. It is fantastic.
I love Legally Blonde the musical. I like the movie too, but the musical is so good.
It just destroys the movie. I mean, the movie you're kind of like, it's kind of cute. The musical is stellar. Just a fantastic cast and great production, and it's still going in a lot of different forms now, but you can watch it on YouTube with most of the original Broadway cast. I think they had a couple of side characters recast before they got to the production they did for MTV, I believe is what they did it for. But it is fantastic, and I recommend you go watch it because it takes the movie and it actually like fixes all of the movie's problems and gets rid of all the crap, which is so rare. It's so rare to take something and just realize what's wrong with it and ignore that part and then add the things that it needs to make it a really well developed story, and an enjoyable experience all the same.
Yep. And it is a laugh riot beginning to end.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think the moment I realized just how good it was I started playing it when our nephews Conley and Coulter were over at my house. And they wanted to play board games and video games and all that. And I said I wasn't hooking up the video games, but they could play a board game if they wanted to. And I started playing that while I was doing some chores around the house. And Conley got slowly, he's 12 now, he got slowly more and more invested to the point where when his mother came to pick him up and there was about 15 minutes left, he was like, no, I have to watch this. I have to finish it.
And he has YouTube.
He's like, it's almost over, Mom. Let me watch it. But it's good. I recommend it. I recommend all my picks of the week. I think that's the point of
Kindly
them.
liked it. It must be good.
Yeah.
Oh, another pick of the week, just to add one, is, and I know that this isn't possible, but if you do know Conley and you get a chance to watch a movie with him, do it. It's awesome. He gets so invested and so excited. It's pretty fun to watch.
I knew he was into Legally Blonde when he got so emotionally invested in Elle that when she had her really embarrassing scene in the Broadway production where she showed up to the party in the bunny costume, he just walked out of the room. Like, he couldn't bear to be in the room because he was so embarrassed for her. That's the kind of viewer he is.
When Conley watches movies over here, I have to make him sit down because he'll jump up and down and shake everything in the living room.
I had the absolute joy of taking him to go see the original Avengers movie. And I mean, he was sitting there in the seat throwing punches. Like,
it's pretty awesome.
Oh. Well, I don't
ever change.
Yeah, I can't think of a better note to end on. Gosh. Go watch a movie with Conley. It's probably impossible for most of the people listening, but Find the Conley in your life and go watch a movie with them. Just someone who's insane.
Or watch Conley's review of Hatchet on relatedtogeeks.com.
Yeah. His debut. All right, so I think that wraps us up. We had an awesome 2015. Looking forward to 2016 and a whole nother year of geeking out and going forward with the podcast and Gamers Guild and all of our productions and enjoying other things as well. And we are just thankful for all of you who are listening, and we're really excited about this upcoming year. And on that note, we are going to say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I like that your pick of the week was watch a movie with Conley.
Even though you can't.
Just sneak into his house and start playing a movie. You'll be fine.
Yeah, don't do that. But it's pretty funny.
We could do like
Oh, Kier, I'm so glad you.
Science theater, whatever that is, Science
Yeah.
2000 theater, whatever. We could
Science.
shut loose and then have comedy in front of the screen.
Well, I mean, there was honestly when we watched The Hobbit. I think it was The Hobbit with him at Kier's house, and I really think that if he had wings, he would have flown because he was just flapping away. It was so funny.
Kier, I'm so glad that you've seen Legally Blonde the musical, because I was pretty sure when I was going to mention it that it was either going to just go on deaf ears or it was going to be one of those things that any male listeners would just be like, meh.
Well, I feel like I want to watch it now.
Oh, it's really good, Dad. You should watch it.
And it's